Welcome back to Steel City Drones. Today, I'm really excited because we are doing a deep dive on the new Parrot ANAFI UKR GOV aircraft. This has been highly anticipated. This is something that we've been looking forward to for a long time, and we have had this video in the works for quite some time now because we really wanted to do a really good job as far as being as comprehensive as we could, and we attacked this video like we have never done before. So in addition to the extensive testing that you're going to see in this video, we wanted to get this aircraft into as many hands as possible, as many public safety pilots as possible, and you're going to be able to see what they have to say. So this is a jam-packed video full of information that you're not going to want to miss. And we put all of the chapters down in the comment section below in case you want to see something specific. But this aircraft is made for public safety. We're also going to be able to do some inspection work as well, but it is made primarily for public safety. The ANAFI UKR is a complete blue list NDAA certified drone that is going to not only help us with making sure that we're going to be able to use something in the future without having problems getting it fixed, as well as really opening up funding sources that we're going to get into later. So this drone could not come at a better time. With the drone ban in place at the end of December for foreign drones not being able to release any new product, a lot of people are seeing firsthand on the effects of the drone ban, specifically trying to get a drone repaired. We have had 3 times the normal amount of call volume daily asking us about drone repairs because people are having a hard time getting certain drones repaired. And that obviously is a big concern to everybody. And we really, really need an aircraft like this for public safety. So with that said, let's go ahead and we'll start breaking down some of the specs of what we have here. So we have the drone itself. It has completely been redesigned. If you were to hold this in your hands like I'm doing right now without a battery, it literally feels like a feather. It is super light. I'm shocked at how light that Parrot was able to get this drone. Parrot has 2 different battery options for this aircraft. We have a standard size battery that just fits in the back of the aircraft, just like this. And then we have an extended flight time battery that it's rated at 70 minutes. And on our own in-house testing, what we always do is we fly it from 100% down to 20%, being on the ground by 20%. That's what we do in comparison with all aircraft. Gives us a true flight time of 55 minutes. Now, we have flown this down also down to 10% and got over a little more than 60 minutes. That is an absolute unheard of in this industry. The next closest option that comes, really doesn't even come close to that, is 42 minutes, and that's with a large aircraft that uses a battery of the size of something that you're going to have inside your car. So it's not even comparable. So this is a first, and it's truly groundbreaking that we're having this much flight time available. And how it attaches to the aircraft is it loads in from the right side of the aircraft, and it goes in really easy, locks into place, and then we use this adapter at the end, attaches it in, and then we turn these knobs and it locks it in place just like that. So One thing that I want you to note about the larger battery is that it is wider than the actual aircraft body. And because of that, the booms cannot fold in all the way to put it inside the carrying case. So when you're going to use the larger battery, what we need to do is either have no battery inside the aircraft when we're transporting it, or we can just have the smaller one inside it all ready to go. It depends on what you want. The second thing that really struck out to me was the flight performance. So the aircraft operates really any which way that I, as a pilot, needed to operate on it. It can be very docile and agile. It depends over however you want to use it. So if I want to use it just normal and I want to put in and roll into my sticks, it can do that very well. But if I want to get very aggressive with it and give it full sticks, it can give me more of an aggressive attitude depending upon what I need. And it really responded extremely well to my control sticks. So the flight performance was the second thing that really stood out to me. And also while I'm flying it, I also noticed how quiet this aircraft is. Once I get this aircraft up about 150 feet, even right above me, I can't even tell it's in the air. So what they have done with the props, the propellers, the motors, and everything in the design of this airframe really makes a very big difference. I'm going to go ahead and do a noise test with you. I'm mic'd up, and it's really early in the morning here. We can hear the birds singing, so you'll be able to pick up any noise that the drone's making. Okay, so what you hear now is 150 feet high, directly above us. I can barely hear it. Let's go up another 10 feet high. Okay, I can barely hear it. Let me go up another 10 feet high. So it's dead quiet right now at 170 feet high. Now, let's go back to 150 feet high. And I'm just going to move back about 10 to 15 feet. And I can't hear it. So if you are wanting to use a drone for surveillance and or say event monitoring where you really don't want anyone to know that this aircraft's up in the air, this is a very excellent choice to be able to use that for this. So an important aspect for public safety is quick deployment. So we're going to go ahead and test how long it takes to get the aircraft out of the case, powered up, and into the air. Part of the flyability critiques that I want to look at is how does the aircraft work in heavy wind conditions. That's a really important part for public safety because we have to be able to operate in any conditions. So we were very fortunate enough to be able to get a good day where it wasn't raining for some high winds. And we had winds of about, on average, 25 miles an hour that were actually gusting up to about 35 to 38 miles an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of that footage. So as you can see, it works very well. It's very planted. And what I'm noticing too is that the aircraft does not move at all laterally in heavy wind conditions. So it is performing better than I thought it would. It's rated up to about 33 miles an hour, but as you can see, it's definitely exceeding that. Now, let's talk about another big improvement that I saw with the ANAFI UKR GOV. And that is with its camera sensor. Now, it has a multi-purpose overall assembly that has 2 cameras inside it. It has a zoom camera that gives us up to 35 times digital zoom. It's going to allow you to be able to keep the aircraft away from your focal points, say such as a radio tower, cell tower, etc. To test the zoom capability of the camera sensor, we always like to do a distance from how far it can read a license plate. So we did this test between 500 and 700 feet away. And at 500 feet away, it is crystal clear. And as we go back towards 600 feet, it is still very readable. And I would say, in my opinion, from this, at least on this size of a license plate with the height and the width and the size of the letters, we can get up to almost 700 feet of clarity to read that license plate. And also, the big improvement that I saw here was in the thermal camera side. Now, this has a traditional 640 by 512 resolution camera, but where the big improvement comes from is having the ability to do a RGB overlay on top of that thermal imagery to give outstanding clarity to what we're actually looking at. It also kind of really helps us establish like bench points and markers as far as where we actually are geographically. And it just can't say enough good things about what I've seen out of this. It also really helps when we have to start zooming in, where that digital zoom is going to start pixelating a little bit and it's going to be a little less clear. That overlay really helps with that. And that overlay even helps us to be able to see, say, graphics and signage on vehicles, etc. So it really kind of helps take things to the next level, especially at nighttime where you're not going to be able to read that on the traditional RGB side necessarily. We also have the ability to control how much color palette is actually in the image. We wanted to really put it to the test at nighttime to see how clear the thermal resolution looked at 300 feet high, because at nighttime we all know that we're going to keep the drone much higher than normal just to be able to make sure we're not hitting anything. And also we wanted to see, since we're not going to really have a lot of RGB overlay, we wanted to see how the thermal camera data really looked in its purest form. So I had my son go out and walk around in a completely dark open park. The perimeter of the entire field is surrounded by trees and a fence line. So we tested the thermal camera in different color palettes at both 300 feet and 400 feet to see how it looked. And the results are what you're seeing on the screen. I feel it is very usable at 300 and 400 feet high. And where I was really most impressed with was when we were able to go ahead and start filtering out some of those temperatures, the colder temperatures with that slider. You can see how well we can go ahead and filter out just body temperatures. It is very clear and it's very helpful for search and rescue. So I'm really impressed with the thermal camera side of its capabilities of what we can do with it. The aircraft is rated with an IP53. That means we can fly this in just the amount of any rain or snow that we need to without any problems. And it works in a public safety atmosphere for just about any conditions. This aircraft also has 5 IMU sensors. So it is designed essentially to not even work with GPS. So we can fly this without GPS whatsoever, and we can go ahead and put it in what is called ADI mode, and there's definite advantages of using an aircraft in ADI mode when we might possibly have some electromagnetic interference from very high voltage power lines. But we also wanted to put this to a test for like your average transmission power line. So what we did was we did a test where we flew very close to 200,000 kV power lines, and we did not have any problems whatsoever. For public safety, quick deployment up and down is extremely important. We need to be able to go ahead, assess a scene as quick as possible, and as well get down as something changes on the ground. Or let's say we have a helicopter high. Most enterprise drones do not descend quickly, and that can be a very important issue when we have manned aircraft in the air. And I myself personally have seen helicopters roll up on me very, very quickly with very little notice. So to be able to drop, say, 100 to 200 feet very quickly is a very important option in my opinion. So we put this to the test. So we took a traditional enterprise drone that's very popular and got it 300 feet high and then hit full stick down and be able to actually time it to where it got to about the sweet spot of like about 20 feet high. That's when most drones start to put on the brakes for like an auto landing, so it does not land hard. So that's the sweet spot of what we do for the test. So a traditional enterprise drone took 22 seconds to get to that point. With the Parrot ANAFI UKR GOV, we were able to descend from 300 feet down to 20 feet in 11 seconds. That is half the time. So that was really, really important for us to be able to get on the ground quickly. So again, this is another gauge of flight performance that should not be overlooked. And again, the Parrot does it very well. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the remote controller that you see here. So the remote controller is robust. It's heavy duty. It just feels like it's military grade. And when I'm looking at the controls, we have the standard roll and zoom in the back, as well as a couple hotkeys on the sides. It is powered up by an 8-inch Galaxy tablet. So for the back of the remote controller, we have a lot of different options. So we have a USB-A, we have an Ethernet port, we have USB-C, as well as an HDMI that we can go ahead and take that to a larger display monitor. So in a larger operation where you have a lot of people around that want to see what the drone is doing, you can keep them away from you and take that to a larger display monitor. If you're interested, we also have and custom build our own 21-inch monitors that have internal power supply that will keep this powered up for over 11 hours. So we have a lot of different options here as well. While we're on the subject of the remote controller, this lid kind of is dual purpose here. This will help shade the sunlight from the tablet, and as well as the antenna is built inside it. And the antenna works off of 3 different type of radio communications. We can go ahead and just use standard wireless transmission, and it all is going to be dependent upon the environment that you're in and around. So where we are right now, we have a lot of buildings and we have housing developments here. We have a lot of, this is a business park right here. There's a lot of wireless networks around. So in our testing, on average here at our location, we can get between 14 to 1,600 feet consistently without any problems. Now, it's going to work better in more rural areas where there is less competing wireless environments. And we did that as another test. So we drove all the way down to West Virginia, an hour into West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere where we know that we didn't have any cellular service. And we wanted to test that, and we got between 2,600 and 3,000 feet line of sight without any problems. So it primarily works off of the wireless, but it's also built and engineered to work off of a cellular service, a 5G network. So we have, for ourselves, we have a T-Mobile cellular plan, and we pay as we go. And what that 5G network is going to do is it's going to come in when that wireless starts getting degraded. So the 5G helps us be able to fly as far as possible without any problems. But I know there's some of you out there that are going to say, well, we might be in an area that's more rural area, such as the hills and the valleys of West Virginia, where we don't have a lot of really good cellular service. It's hit and miss. In those cases where cellular service isn't a real viable option for you, that's when, again, we don't have the competing frequencies for the wireless, and we can get that exceptional range. And since we can't fly past line of sight anyway, that's going to give us more than enough distance to be able to cover for this. This uses a LoA radio as backup. So essentially, we have 3 different systems here, ensuring that we're going to have stability and repeatability no matter what the environment that we need to fly in. This aircraft can also do pre-planned flight missions. So if you want to set up a search grid for search and rescue, that's not a problem at all. We can also pick a point and fly to it. And that's what I haven't seen really hardly any drone manufacturer or maker model do before that. So that's a very nice thing to have inside it. This aircraft also has a feature that is called cursor on target. It's essentially a way that you can lock in on a moving object and be able to go ahead and track it. And as we did our testing, we got up to almost 3,000 feet. And as you see it losing momentarily line of sight with its target, it can go ahead and pick up and lock back in on it after it relocates it. Next up, we're going to talk about optional accessories. So we're very happy to see Colorado Battery Chargers partner up with Parrot to offer this aftermarket battery charging station. So this is where we have up to 4 different batteries, and it can charge both the larger batteries and the small batteries as well in any combination. It has an adapter for the smaller battery, and we can now charge the larger batteries in a very reasonable time. So this is something that's brand new, and we just got it the other day, and we were kind of waiting to do the video to be able to include this. So we will also have pricing on our websites for this as well. The other thing that we can get, and I don't have it as of yet, but we will have spotlight options as well. And as soon as we have more information, we'll definitely do an updated video as well as putting all that information on our website. So now that we've gone over the features and functionality of this aircraft, we're now going to share the feedback for the end users that we were able to go ahead and demo this for. So we actually had a public safety day where over 20 people came out for one day. And then we also went to different police departments around our region to get their feedback. So we wanted to be able to share some of this feedback with you, with your peers. And here's what they had to say.
My name's Randy McAllister. I've been in public safety for about 30 years. Had the opportunity to start a drone program back in 2016, 2017. Been flying drones ever since. Specifically from a public safety standpoint, I think that there's some features that are built into the Parrot stuff being more closely aligned with what its original design, being a military style aircraft. The flight performance on the Parrot alone, again, it was very responsive and very stable. We don't have much wind here today, but even in a little bit of wind in ATI mode, that thing just kind of hung in there. It didn't become uncontrollable. I flew it hard in doing a bunch of different maneuvers with it, and it was stable throughout that. I didn't have 1 second of, oh, that shouldn't have done that, or even under heavy air braking and things of that nature. It was really, really stable and responsive. With the overlay of the RGB camera, the optical camera, it just definitely makes a huge difference. Especially when you're on that zoomed in, it cleans it up a lot. The aircraft is relatively silent once you get it in the air, especially in a hover position. You don't have to be very far away, stand off this distance from your target, nor very high for that thing to be 100% silent. The aircraft, the frame, extremely light, small footprint, easy to deploy. If I had to pick the top 3 things about that aircraft that I like, those would be it. Battery life, the thermal camera, the way it works, and then also the stability in flight and quickness to put it together.
Christian Short, Robinson Township Police Department, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. I definitely like the speed of it. It's very agile. It seemed to respond very quickly with anytime you made any kind of command on it. It was quick response to it. I think the overlay gives you the ability to see what's around it. So instead of switching from screen to screen, know that there's a road coming this way, or something that you wouldn't pick up on thermal, that you would have a better, like a landmark, something else you could go off of instead of switching the screen back and forth. You're getting one set of batteries up for 55 minutes versus hot swapping, every 25. So I could see where that time would make a big difference, where this magnification for this was a lot better, a lot clearer.
Corporal Jason Martin with the Wheeling Police Department. I'm our flight operations manager for our unmanned aerial reconnaissance team. We started our team back in 2022 at the PD, flown a lot of other drones, privately outside of law enforcement. As far as the drone itself, I thought it flew very, very well. I like the way it flies. It's, the controls are responsive, but not overly responsive. You can hit your target pretty easily with just minimal stick movements. Just doing some orbits up here was really easy to do. I do like the acoustic signature that it has, the low noise. For somebody who does a lot of covert surveillance, it's kind of definitely a good thing. If I can have the bad guys not knowing that it's there, it's definitely a plus. I thought the camera, the quality was very, very good. I did like the FLIR boson camera that's on those two. The quality was definitely up to par with what we would want to see the things through law enforcement and different surveillance things. Especially we fly a lot at night, and a lot of our surveillance is done there. So a lot of it's done in thermal. In my opinion, that the cameras were a little bit better on the Parrot ANAFI UKR GOV.
It flies really smooth. I mean, the speed was good. The camera, the zoom was crazy. I mean, battery life so far, I mean, we were flying for what, 20 minutes, and it's still a 70% battery. Easy to launch, easy to fly. Controls are easy enough. With at least like the smaller battery, it weighed like nothing. Which, with it being so windy, I was worried with flying that it would be going everywhere. It's solid. I mean, for how light it is, I'm surprised.
The ease of use was great to me. The ability to kind of maneuver it, pick a point of an object, whatever it may be. We focused on a car today, for instance. Amazing. I mean, it was smooth. Doesn't even feel like it's in the air. So.
My name is Don Seipolt. I've been in public safety now for approximately 27 years. The things I like about this craft, discussed before, the battery life of it. I know it's the heavier duty battery, between 50 and 55 minutes. That's nice from a position as far as public safety. I like the controls. It's a very, very solid platform. But as far as the performance of it, it is very quiet up in the air, unless you're really hammering the sticks. It is quiet. It holds its position very, very well. I'm impressed with the performance of it. I like that it's small, durable. It's definitely a very durable. The controller is durable, and overall, I think it's a good product.
All right, so now we're going to talk about pricing. But before we get into it, having a Blue List and NDAA drone like this is giving us a lot of new and exciting capabilities for funding. And not actually even the drone itself, but for the training. So I'm bringing out Morgan, our director of sales, who's been working with Andrew and researching all this, and they found some very interesting things that we have here. So why don't you explain what you guys found?
So we were able to find government and private industry grants that would allow you to not only purchase equipment and accessories, but training, which is a big part of what we do here and is important for the success of your drone program. So as Dave mentioned, we will have a sheet where you will be able to grab that information regarding those grants. And if you need us to talk you through any parts of that, we'll help as best as we can.
And we have found not only necessarily grants from the large corporations and agencies or government entities, but also even local proprietary companies as well. There's a lot of different things that are out there. So, we don't just have a couple different sources. We have quite a bit that we can help with. And, we'll make that sheet available, as Morgan said. But also, if you have specific questions regarding the funding too, please give us a call, ask for Morgan or Andrew, and we'll definitely be able to take care of that. So now let's go ahead and talk about pricing. So when we want to look at a ready-to-fly kit that includes the hard shell waterproof case, the aircraft, one aircraft battery, the remote controller, and everything that's needed to fly the aircraft, we're looking a little under $17,000. Now, the next lowest competitor price is still significantly more than that. So what you're seeing on the screen is just a sample of the different type of subscription services the competition offers to increase the overall cost of the aircraft. And that's just a sample, because there's over 20 pages of subscription services that the competition offers, and these subscription services are yearly costs. So you have to basically factor in up to, say, 5 to 7 years if you want to keep that drone that long. That's going to be an added cost per year. With Parrot, there are no added subscription costs. They want to keep the price down as minimal as possible. So the difference can be huge. Also, if you might have to have, say, cloud storage because certain evidence has to be held for a certain amount of years, you're going to have to keep that on a cloud service subscription. So again, these are all factors and variables that you should be taking into account when you are considering what platform that you want to buy. Plus, when you add in all of the features and functionality, this becomes a no-brainer. Now, Parrot has made a crash protection plan available as an additional option that you can purchase. And what's really nice about that is because the actual difference between a 1-year and a 2-year plan is very, very minimal. So it actually makes sense to get a 2-year plan. And in today's circumstances, what we have with everybody else having problems with repairing and actually eliminating those care packages, it's very nice to be reassured that if you have any kind of problems, you can get it covered under that protection plan. Now, let's talk about customer service and also what we do when we sell one of these drones. So anybody who buys this drone from us is going to go through a mandatory online training platform before you can use this. So we have a set of videos that are going to help you understand how to use this, how to set it up, just going over all the do's and don'ts that are going to really help you so that you don't have any issues. So we are going to require anybody that's going to buy it from us to be able to watch those videos. It's not very lengthy. It's just a couple hours of videos. So it's not like it's going to take an enormous amount of time. And we're offering that as a free service to all of our customers. We also offer very comprehensive public safety training anywhere in the United States. We can come to you if you can't come to us, and we can customize your solution to what you need depending upon your budget, level of experience, and what you're looking for on the training side. Let's talk about customer service. I know that's very important, like I mentioned before, to everybody when they need support and also on any potential repair that you may have. Well, you can be rest assured that with Parrot, there is no problem there. First off, you have our free Tier 1 level support. So you can contact us 7 days a week, even during off hours, and we will help you with any problems that you have. If there's something that we cannot resolve over the phone or through a Zoom call, FaceTime, or whatever have you, then we will recommend sending it in to our partners in the United States to be able to take a look and evaluate it further. So that's what's very nice. It's not going to have to go out of the country to be able to get serviced. And this is why I'm so excited about this aircraft, is because we're very picky on who we partner up with, okay? We do not just partner up with every single drone company out there, because we're going to put our name behind something when we recommend it. And if we're going to do so, we have to have a company that's going to stand behind our customers, and also a company that's always looking to improve its own product line. And that's what we have here with Parrot. And I can tell you that I know firsthand that they are very seriously committed to making the best product and to offering the best level of customer service. And that's also, through us as the dealer. So you can rest assured that if you have any problems, you're going to get the highest level of service possible. So with that said, we have these aircraft ready to go and ship out. So if you're interested in one of these, we have them ready to go. If you have more questions about anything that maybe I talked about or something that I just simply overlooked, what you can do is go to our website that has the dedicated full page of information about this, but you can also put a comment down in the comment section below, or you can email us or just give us a call, and we'll be glad to spend as much time with you as needed for whatever you want to talk about. So again, this is an important aircraft that has come out. It's come out at the right time. And we finally now have a very good, high quality option for public safety, as well as for those in the utility sections for utility and inspections. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.